Hi everyone, Carolyn Peeler here with you in Ellen Hutson's classroom, and today I have a watercolor flower tutorial to share with you. I'm really excited about this one. I've been away from home for a month, and so it was really nice to get home and get creative and play with my watercolors, and I can't wait to show it to you. So to get started, you're going to want to grab your favorite watercolor paper. If you have a Ranger nonstick craft sheet, you'll want to grab that and use that beneath your watercolor paper. And as well, I've used the Kuretake palette for my paints. If you have a different palette, you're more than welcome to use that, or of course just using your Ranger craft sheet will work as well. Brush wise, I'm using a round brush, a fairly thick round brush with soft bristles. I've linked to a couple in the Ellen Hutson store that will work really well for you, but if you're somebody who has dabbled in paints before and you have some round brushes at home, I'd encourage you to give this a shot with what you have. Now, as you can see, as I've been talking here, I've been going through painting the flowers. As far as creating them, as I said in the introduction to the typed introduction to the video, it's actually fairly simple to build them. However, it's just like anything. Practice is going to make perfect. The more you do it, the better and easier you're going to find it to make these. Basically, as you can see, what I've done is I'm just doing kind of little round sort of semicircle little doodles, one around the previous one that I did. So I start with one as the center of the flower and then just kind of continually sort of in a clockwise motion I've been adding more petals to the flower. Now with watercolor, the more wet your watercolor is, the more the pigments are going to flow. So in my palette I have one section that's just water, one section that's my red color mixed with some water, and one color that's more pure pigment with not very much water in it. And that is so that I can control the more water that's in there, the lighter my pink is, and the less the pigment is, the lighter the pink is and the more the pigment will flow. The more concentrated it is, the less the pigment wants to flow because it's not quite as wet, if that makes sense. So as you can see, while I'm building my flowers, from time to time I'm coming in and I'm adding more either pure water or with the pink in it, and then coming and touching the darker red and bringing it into that wet area so that the paint flows, because what you really want is you really want a blending of the colors. Then what you also saw me do is come in with the yellow and the orange and sort of touch in some areas so that I don't have just a flat watercolor, but I have other shades coming in. Now here I'm adding the leaves to the card. What you're going to notice is that I'm not actually touching the pink, and it's for this reason that I didn't allow the pink to dry before adding my leaves. If you're going to touch the pink, then you want to let the petals dry before you start your leaves, otherwise the green is going to flow into the pink. So I'm going to do these three, and now I'm going to stop and I'm going to go ahead and dry those, and then I'm going to come back and add a couple more petals. So we're going to have a switch over of the screen here, and you're going to come back, and you'll also notice because these are dry, the color has toned down a little bit. When the watercolors are wet, they're a little bit more vivid on your sheet, so do keep that in mind. So I'm going to come back in and add two more petals. Now these ones I actually could have added before because I ended up not touching the pink paint, sorry. If I had touched the pink paint, then it would have the pink and the green would have run into each other, and that's why I wanted to dry it, because I thought I would touch, but I didn't end up touching, so I really could have done it all in one step, but you know, you don't always know what you're going to do before you do it. Okay, so the final thing I'm doing is I have a touch of the Bronzite Genuine Primatech color, and I'm adding a little bit of brown into the green leaves so that there's a bit of depth and dimension to them. And that is all she wrote. That's how you do it. It's actually fairly easy. To finish off the card, I'm using the Autumn Acorn stamp set that Julie designed for Ellen Hutson. I'm using the thank you greeting, and I'm stamping that with just some black, the Tuxedo Black Memento ink as the greeting. And then as a final step, I'm going to put a little piece of vintage sheet music across the bottom of that card, and that's really all there is to it. It's a very simple card, very simple technique. Practice will make perfect. Please let me know if you have any questions.